On in here. Little technical difficulties this morning. I apologize for that. So I hope that I didn't miss some of you, but I'm glad you're here. I think it's an important topic. Happy Easter Monday. I hope everybody had a great holiday and a great celebration. There was some great stuff. If you were on our Prayer for America call on Friday with Father Frank Pavone and Dr. Ken Stevenson, you heard that Pastor Stevenson was going to do a presentation on Sunday morning, Easter morning, about the Shroud of Turin and his experience when he was at the Air Force Academy as a professor. He was one of the leaders in studying the Shroud. It's extraordinary. I didn't get to watch the whole video because my Easter Sunday was pretty busy, but it's an extraordinary presentation. He's an amazing man. So check that out. I'll put it up on social media. So this morning, I thought I would comment on vaccines because we have seen a proliferation of what I call the vaccine bullies. And if you watched Saturday Night Live, which I never do, if you'd gone on Saturday Night Live, you would have seen that a whole segment, it was like a Jeopardy segment, I've seen the clip, was basically mocking African Americans. It was totally racist. Mocking, it was all black actors and actresses, but they were mocking the African American community for not wanting to take vaccines. I'm not sure how they thought that was going to be helpful. As you may know, when you do a survey of the American people right now, two groups distrust the government together. One is African Americans and the other is conservatives who've seen things like General Flynn and seen things like misleading use of government. So those two groups. And, I remember asking the late Phyllis Schlafly about vaccines. And I said, what do you think about it? And she had written a little bit about it over her life. And she said a couple things. One is she said, we have friends on both sides of that issue. She said to me, there's some people that really believe in vaccines and others that are very, very skeptical of all kinds of vaccines. And then she said, the problem is when government tries to force, especially parents. At the time that I was asking her, there was a conversation about how schools were requiring so many vaccines. And so she was saying, that's a big imposition. But here's the thing that's happening now is we're clearly in a stage where people aren't even trying to explain. Hold on one second. I live in a world where my dog can open the door and then not close it. So my dog is over there. I'll see if I can get the dog in the picture. There's the dog looking out the window. I might have messed up the camera now. So we're in this bullying stage where people aren't trying to explain anything. And we're back to the fear mongering. Hey, come over here. Get down. That's ridiculous. Sit. Sorry about that. This fear mongering is, they're not even trying to explain anything, and there's lots of reasons. We were having a conversation at Easter about, I forget which vaccine, has a less efficacy rate, at least what we've seen, and these conversations about reactions and all, but you're not even allowed to do that. Forget about the vaccine passport. As I said before, it's more likely that the people that are, that don't have, there's Mary Alice. Thank you, Mary Alice, for being in there. Yeah. Hello, lady. The people who are, they're not even doing the passports. Remember this essay that I refer to so frequently, and I know maybe some of you have read it and some of you are probably sick of me talking about it, but the power of the powerless. And the power of the powerless is all about how broadly the government expects something to happen and the people move along. It's a kind of the argument, the way I describe it is self-censorship is the real epidemic right now. And that's a new phrase I use. It's pretty good. But right now, the vaccine bullies, it's extraordinary to watch what they're doing. Again, they're not explaining things. They're dismissive. And what will happen, and Bill Hennessy, my friend from St. Louis, wrote a blog post on this morning that's pretty extraordinary. It's very, he's a very persuasive writer, and he also is a very thoughtful man, and he tends to think forward. He is a fan of the book, The Fourth Turning, and Bill will sort of imagine the future, and the future he imagines is it's dark in a way, and not in a way, it's a dark future. But so But these bullies, they're not even trying, right? So we have an obligation. It feels to me like we either have to figure out what works for people. And there's plenty of people I know that believe the vaccines are good for them. They're not worried about side effects. I'll drop a footnote here. Clearly, something's changed since, say, the polio vaccine, right? The polio vaccine happened in the 1950s, I suppose. It's an extraordinary story. And that saved a lot of people's lives. And it was effective. But since then, we have vaccines for lots and lots of stuff. And I don't think we have a real sense of how they interact. You know, when you have a baby these days, and my kids are, the youngest is 9, I guess, but you have a baby, they want to give you one after another, after another, after another in those first days after birth. So there's a lot to be wary of, and there's a lot to be especially wary of government requiring it. But back to my point on self-censoring, what's happening is the bullies are expecting that you won't want to be picked out, right? So 2 weeks ago, LeBron James refused to answer if he had the vaccine. Now, when someone refuses to answer, if you didn't have it, you say I didn't have it. I've not had it, right? If you didn't have it, you just say you didn't have it. What's the reason why is he probably did get it, and he didn't want to say that he got it because in large segments of the community that are fans of his, whether it's African American or just basketball fans, I think they distrust it. But either way, you can bet your bottom dollar that what's coming is the vaccine bullies making sure that you'll feel left out or disconnected from the community, or worse, exiled, ostracized. Lady, come here. I'm glad you like Lady Mary Alice. I'll send her to you. Lady, come here. So that's what that vaccine bullies. And I think we have an obligation to create the space to try to break the bullies' hold on people and not fall victim to it. Again, plenty of people that I trust have the vaccine. My father got the vaccine. He's in a lot of categories. He was worried about it. He did a bunch of reading on it, said he wanted to get it. I don't have any problem with it. But the question is, what are the vaccine bullies going to do? And yeah, she'll love California. It's not so much the passports in my mind. It's not even so much the requirement of 100% vaccinated workplaces, although I bet that's coming. Bill Hennessy thinks so. It's much more the vaccine bullies, the people that are going to make us want to self-censor and not stand up and say anything. So that's one. Second thing is Major League Baseball. What a disaster. You know, what a disaster for Major League Baseball that they pulled the All-Star game from Atlanta. First of all, it's classic disinformation, the narrative machine. Major League Baseball couldn't have read the bill, because if they read the bill, they would see that the Georgia bill that passed, it's not voter suppression. Joe Biden called it Joe Biden called it the Jim Crow laws, worse than Jim Crow laws. This is insane. That's an insane thing to say. That's a lie, and it's insulting to Jim Crow laws and to African Americans. And it's just meant to what? Demagogue. And so it's meant to make people crazy. Literally, it's meant to make people crazy. And Major League Baseball is now participating in that, and they're going to pay a price. I don't think that they're going to be. I think they will. They're misunderstanding what's happening and where this is, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to be the one in the grand majority that will stomp on all of we the people, but I don't think so. I don't think so in the long run. So I think it was a terrible mistake. And let me finish with this. Last night, we had some friends come over. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday. And so some of her friends came over, and one of the moms was there, and we ended up sitting out later in the day, in the evening. It's a good Christian Toman Turpure. I'm not sure. That's a great name. Writes this comment: the sacrosanct status of experts, even small-time worries from regular citizens, are considered beyond the pale, is a danger for democratic societies. It's also a danger for your health, right? If we believe the experts, they're almost always wrong in the long run. So, you know, when someone says, oh, the experts say this, what was the example? Various times on your diet, they've said, if you just eat more carbs, it'll be healthier. Right? If you eat less carbs, if you eat this vitamin, that vitamin, they're almost always wrong. So it's a major problem. It's a major problem. But back to the Major League Baseball thing and what's coming. The narrative machine is so powerful right now. It's weighing down we the people. And but I think we end up winning. Oh, so back to my point. We had some friends over and ended up sitting around late in the evening. It was dark and just sitting. And the woman who was here said, I'm so worried. It feels so bad, feels so anxious. And I feel that too. But I said to her, I think that's what the culture is doing right now. Narrative machine and the culture But I think you have to put that aside. I mean, all the fundamentals of life are better than they've ever been. That doesn't mean the spiritual is, but the fundamentals of regular natural life are better than they've ever been. The spiritual life is way, way off. And so we have to renew that. That's the point. You know, we have a better food supply, better everything, but the spiritual life is way off. So we've got to work on that. So let's do that together. All right, everybody, I got to run. No 2 p.m. today. I'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you then.